Some of the commonly used circuit breakers are miniature circuit breaker, molded case circuit breaker, thermal magnetic circuit breaker, etc. One fine morning, John is having his breakfast with his wife. After finishing his breakfast, he left to his workplace. At the office, John is working with his colleague, Peter. Together they made an electronic circuit breaker which detects faults like overcurrent, overvoltage, and earth fault. Once the electronic circuit breaker detects a fault, it sounds an alarm, as well as send a notification to Mr. John's phone. At John's house around noon, an overcurrent fault was taking place. When a load of higher power rating was connected to the plug, it led to the occurrence of an overcurrent fault. But due to the electronic circuit breaker designed by John, the damage was prevented and an alert was immediately sent to his mobile. During the lunch break, John receives a notification saying an overcurrent fault has occurred at his home. Upon seeing this, he calls his wife and informs her about the fault. While Mr. Peter was working on his new project design, Ms. Maria comes to see him. She says that she wanted to know more about the electronic circuit breaker that Mr. Peter and Mr. John together had built. Mr. Peter agrees to explain about their electronic circuit breaker to Ms. Maria. Mr. Peter began explaining to Ms. Maria about the ECB that they made. The electronic circuit breaker, ECB, that we made, is the one which have a very low tripping time than a conventional circuit breaker. As a fault occur, the ECB that we made trips within a time of 2 microseconds. When a fault occur, the ECB sounds an alarm as well as sends a notification to Mr. John's mobile phone. This is the schematic diagram for electronic circuit breaker that we had developed. There are 2 current sensors, one for measuring the load current and one for measuring the supply current. Their measurements are monitored by the Arduino. The Arduino has been given preset values of voltage and current. When the measurements of the current goes above the permitted preset value, it identifies it as the occurrence of a fault and sends signals to the node MCU as well as the relay. Relay is used for breaking the circuit at the occurrence of a fault. The node MCU receives the information from the Arduino and alerts the user via smartphone. This is a 3D model of the PCB version of our electronic circuit breaker that we developed. Here, when we vary the variable resistor, the voltage goes beyond the predefined value and thus the LED get turned off and the buzzer beeps and an alert stating overvoltage fault is sent to the smartphone. Hope you got an understanding about the electronic circuit breaker that we made. Thank you.